We are making a Mediterranean or Middle Eastern dessert today, which is called Basbousa or Namoura. This is one of my most favorite dessert. And for Basbousa or Namoura, these are the following ingredients that we're going to need. 1 cup of coconut powder, 1.5 cup of fine granule semolina. Make sure you're not using the coarse one, fine semolina. We're also going to need unsalted ½ cup butter or 1 stick unsalted butter. We need it at room temperature, or we can soften it, or you can even soften it in your microwave. Make sure you're not using cold butter for this recipe. ½ cup of yogurt and about 1/3 cup of heavy whipping cream. And we need 2 room temperature eggs, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and about a pinch or ½ teaspoon of salt. We need 3/4 cup of sugar, ½ cup of grinded or coarsely grinded or powdered pistachio, and about ½ cup of blanched almonds. I have soaked them in hot water, and we're going to take off the skin of almonds like so. These are the ingredients we're going to need to make the syrup for today's dessert. We need about 1 cup of sugar, about 2 tablespoons of rose water, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and ½ teaspoon of green cardamom powder, and 2.5 cups of water. Here in our large bowl, we are going to add this melted or softened butter, semolina, coconut powder. Just whisk them for a minute. You can use your stand mixer as well, or your electric handheld mixer. Otherwise, your whisker will work just fine. Adding baking powder, salt, yogurt, cream, two eggs, and now you have to mix it or whisk it or stir it pretty well. And do not forget to add the sugar, which I almost did forget. Alright, now it's very well mixed, and we're going to pour this batter in a baking pan. I have greased my baking pan a little bit with the help of a brush, baking brush, and now I'm going to add this batter in this pan. Now you have to make sure that you are spreading this batter evenly in the bottom of your baking pan. Now I am placing my pan in the oven on 350 degrees, and we're going to bake it for about 35 to 40 minutes. Over here, we are going to make our syrup until our batter is baking in the oven. I'm turning on the stove, and I'm using a little saucepan here. I'm adding about 2.5 cups of water. Adding sugar, cardamom powder, rose water, and lemon juice. We're going to boil the syrup until the sugar is pretty much dissolved. And we don't want to make it thick. We don't want to make a very thick syrup. I'm going to boil it maybe for about 7 to 8 minutes on high flame. Here it's been almost 8 minutes, or let's say maybe 10 minutes so far, and our syrup is ready. I'm going to let it cool down. I have taken out our basbousa cake from the oven after baking it for about 35 to 40 minutes. Now I am going to pour the syrup on top of basbousa cake evenly. Uh, Make sure that you pour the syrup on basbousa while it is still hot, not the syrup, but your basbousa cake. Uh, you will notice that while you're pouring that syrup on top of basbousa, it will stand on top of the cake. But don't worry about it. I mean, in an hour or two, it will absorb all the moisture and liquid. For the best result, I'll say let it sit overnight. If you let it sit overnight, the next day the syrup will be very well absorbed thoroughly in basbousa. And make sure that you should have at least about 2 cups of syrup liquid for the basbousa cake, and I am reserving about half a cup of syrup so we can serve along basbousa squares when we're ready to eat. As I've mentioned, that for the best result, let it sit overnight. I also let the basbousa rest overnight. I wrapped it with the saran wrap. And now I am going to do the last and final step. And now I am going to cut our basbousa or Namoura cake in even squares. Here it is ready, and we are going to arrange these squares on our plate like so. Be very careful when you are handling the squares because they are soaked in syrup and they can break apart very easily. Uh, Placing one blanched almond on each squares. This step is totally optional. If you want to do it, go ahead. If not, you can skip it. You can just stick with coarsely ground pistachio. Here I'm adding some on top. And as I said, I'm reserving a little bit of syrup. Here it is. I warmed it up. Make sure you warm it up when you're about to serve it to your guests. And I hope you like this recipe. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. I'll see you guys next time with another episode. You guys take care and a very happy eat.